Michael, if you can hear me, we can see you on video. If you can, feel free to address the board.
Okay, I wasn't sure if we were ready, but yes, I can hear you. Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody, and thanks for the time. My name is Michael Morset, and I live in Simi Valley. And first let me say that I think it's really great to see an organization that takes the time to appreciate and recognize its people. And that's so important. So I just want to thank you for that. I live in Simi Valley, but I feel like I'm at least a part-time resident of Conejo and Thousand Oaks, because I represent, or I'm from the Borderline family. I know a few of you. I've worked with Jim, and I recognize Andy Morales from some phone calls and some work that I was planning with him pre-COVID. And I'm here tonight, first to thank you guys, or thank you. I might have forgotten to greet you guys, the board, chairman, the staff, Jim. Thank you. But I wanted to say, as a family member from Borderline, that personally I appreciate so much of what you, or everything that you guys have done for Borderline Strong, for the families. The resulting healing garden was beyond what I would have imagined. And personally, I'm just still, after 2 years, I'm still overwhelmed that Conejo and the city and everybody else, and your department, your district, worked so hard to put that together. And I just want to take that opportunity to thank you so much for that. And that'll never go away. But I'm here tonight because I want to talk to you real quick about the artist Ali Alinejad, who created the name sculptures for the Borderline, for the lost, the victims of Borderline. And right now, currently, the name sculptures are on display at the Thousand Oaks Civic Arts Plaza in front of the Mary Carpenter Plaza, Park Plaza. And they're there temporarily, first of all, because of the 3-year anniversary that just came up on the 7th. And they're there temporarily because we wanted to take advantage or to take an opportunity to promote or to what's the word, expose the art back to the community. The art was made, the name sculptures were made for the city, or for the community. I'm sorry. I know it's a touchy subject talking about the city and parks, and I understand that, and sometimes I even slip, but the art was created for the community, not for the families. And I mean, the artist gave us our own little mini versions, but the big ones were made for the community, and they're made not just to reflect what was lost, but to memorialize and to reflect, and for the community to be able to reflect in the future on what was gained. There was a coming together after the Borderline incident in the community that was that was beautiful, and it's the kind of thing that we saw after 9/11, when everybody said that people were coming together, and we saw it in our own community. On a smaller scale, but it was just as intense for us. The artist created those for the community, and he created them to be in the community. In between the anniversary dates, they reside in his yard, and they were created to be out there in the community. Now, I know that the artist, Ali Alinejad, has had discussions with you with you, certain members of the organization. I'm not sure where those discussions have gone. But what I'm asking is, as a friend of the community, and as a friend of yours, that we could continue discussions and consider what if putting the art out in the community hasn't worked yet, to have a discussion on, so what would work? Who could we talk to that could help us to get this out in the community? It was meant to be out there to promote art in the community as a vehicle for healing and resilience in the community. So as a family member, we want to get behind the artist and do what we can to help him to relocate the art. He does have a nonprofit now, and I'll share that with you. Since I'm not there in person, I couldn't bring any flyers of his, but I'll share that with your secretary and make sure you guys get that. But I just wanted to thank you for everything, like I said, and I do look forward to having conversations with you in the future about this. I know there's nothing you can do tonight about it, but I just wanted to introduce myself, say thank you, and hello. So thanks very much for your time.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you for taking the time to be with us. And I thought I recognized the name there, but thank you for confirming that. And obviously our hearts are still with you and your family with the loss that you sustained. And I think I would also agree that our community is a unique community in coming together for certain things, times like that. As far as to the topic, I know historically the city of Thousand Oaks has taken the lead when it comes to the arts in our community. And it wasn't until just recently that we kind of had a committee established to consider art in the parks. And so I know that will be something that we could certainly address at the committee level and see where it goes from there. And I know that has been a discussion with staff, and I know our general manager here, Jim Friedel, has been taking copious notes with your comments. And I know he will follow it with appropriate steps, either to you directly and or with the artist, and find out what options are available, and probably even coordinate with the city if that much as well. So thank you again for being here tonight. And I'm sure the staff will be in touch with you and the artist as far as where discussions may continue and what the outcome might be.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. We all appreciate it.
Thanks again. Okay, thank you very much for that. Okay, next is approval of the agenda, and I was asked to make one change because we do have a representative here. We have item 9. I just wanted to move that up into the agenda before we continue anything further. So right after approval, if we can move that up, we have a guest with us tonight that they can present, and then we can continue on. So with that change, was there anything else that someone care to change? If not, a motion to approve with that one change. Yes, Director Holt.
I move approval of the agenda with the exception of item 9 being moved up to item 6.
Yes, yeah, just before 6. Yes. Okay, second to that.
I'll second that.
Okay. Director Cusworth, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so with that, we will take on item number 9 in front of item number 6. And so General Manager Jim Friedel, are you taking this one then?
Only to hand it off to Mr. Hare, who's
Okay.
been just really hard, brutal negotiations with the Thousand Oaks Rotary Club and Marissa Buss.
It's been tough.
Who's ruthless, but
Okay.
hopefully they've reached an
Marissa
agreement.
got the best of me this time. Yeah, thanks, Chair Nichols, members of the board. A couple different items. One, we've done this for a while now, is we have to determine that the chili cook-off is exempt from California Environmental Quality Act. That's been said is that because one of the exemptions that it's allowed is when there's a history of a similar usage and attendance at the facilities, and between Hoc Art Country Music Festival, Canal Valley Days, Bark in the Park, Persian New Year, Arbor Earth Day, And in past chili cook-offs, we've had similar uses over the years for the Canal Creek complex, most likely, Canal Creek North and parking at Canal Creek South. So that's one reason that's the big reason why we're recommending it be exempt from CEQA. And then also to authorize the general manager to enter into the agreement for chili cook-off 2022. There's wasn't a 2021. But the agreement is extremely similar to the 2020 event with just a little bit of date changes and all that. Marissa's going to tell you a little bit more about the actual event. The only other different thing we did with the agreement, we put some COVID language in there about, adhering to all current guidelines for such events. But otherwise, the amount of money for payment for the event is the same. So pretty much everything is the same as it was in 2020. And we really look forward to getting out of this and having a great chili cook-off with the Thousand Oaks Rotary. And then I'll go to Marissa.
You remove your mask.
So we can hear you.
Oh, sorry. Okay, thank you for having me this evening. And yes, I'm from the Thousand Oaks Chili Cook-Off or Rotary Club. And I have represented the chili cook-off for the last 4 years. And we didn't have it last year, obviously. But we are looking to do it again this year and hoping that it will be a huge success. I think a lot of people are excited to get out there and enjoy events again. This being an outdoor event, we feel it is a safe event to put on. We did do our street fair just in October, and that was a huge success. So we're looking to bring it back. It's going to be very similar to 2020, classic car show, craft brew festival, 3 stages of music, and just a really family-friendly event for the community with the chili tasting, of course. Do you have any questions?
Thank you. So directors, any questions or comments either to our Administrator Hare or Marissa Buss? Yes, Director Lang.
Yes, did I hear that there's 3 stages for music?
Yes, so we have always had we call it the chili bowl area where it's the large grass area. We've always had a stage there. That was our borderline stage. And then also at the main pavilion where there's the concrete stage, we have one there. And then there's the smaller pavilion that's down further towards the duck pond in between. We have a DJ there that plays like country, classic rock, that kind of music. Yeah, so 2 live band stages and then a DJ generally.
Sounds good, and I have to admit that I've not been since it's relocated to Canal Creek.
Oh, it's
North.
so much better. You have to come.
Yeah,
Not as much dirt and a lot more shade.
very good. And comparing the 2 venues, how about the number of participant chili cookers?
I have to be honest that I was not part of the Thousand Oaks Club then. I did go as an attendee, but from my understanding, I took it on the 2nd year that they relocated to that park. And I think that our chili participants have been very similar. We may have had a little bit more community support from the nonprofits sometimes would do chili booths, but we're trying to reinvigorate that with everyone. Restaurants was one of our prize categories. And I think that due to the last year and restaurants suffering so much, we were thinking about pushing a nonprofit prize area so that maybe some of the local nonprofits that all of the proceeds go back to would come and make chili and participate in it. And it's a great way for the community to get to know them and what they do.
Jim, could you comment on if you recall the number of participants?
I don't know numbers. I know just my own anecdotal experience. And if you're talking about experience by or participants by the actual chili cooks,
Yes.
yeah, I think it's less than it once was, but the event still is
Well, sure.
pretty big and exciting and plenty of chili.
Yeah, we generally have, I think it's like 115 chili cooks. And there's people who come from all different states because we are the semifinals to the final for the International Chili Society, which is a little known fact. A lot of people don't realize that's some of the chili that they're tasting. It's kind of funny.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Yes, Director Huffer?
Yeah, Marissa, we really missed a lot of different events over the last year and a half. And, I would agree, the Canal Creek North is so much nicer as a site for that event. I mean, you had more space and easier parking, Canal Creek South,
Yeah.
but you're just basically wandering around a big open field, and to have the trees and the creek and everything going through Canal Creek North makes it so much nicer. So I'm certainly looking forward to the event. My only hesitation is that several years ago, you folks borrowed the idea of adding a craft brew festival.
I
to
knew,
your-
I
to
was
your
like
event.
wondering, I'm like, is he going to bring that up?
Of course I am. They added craft brew to their chili cook-off several years ago, which they borrowed from another community service organization.
Yeah, we won't mention who we borrowed it
No,
from.
we won't. We won't. Thank you.
Mimicry is the sincerest form of flattery.
Yep.
Any other questions or comments? I just have one question for Mr. Hare. In the discussion, you just talked about balancing the potential impact of the significant landscaping and capital improvements to the park site. Has that been an issue in the past? I mean, obviously, you're going to have a bunch of people there, and some people stay on the sidewalks, some people don't. Has that been a problem? Is it just the expected wear and tear that happens with a group that size?
Yeah, it's usually expected wear and tear, and actually moving it from, like, just like Chuck had mentioned, even Marissa had mentioned too, moving it from south to north, actually, I think it's been greatly beneficial to south as a park, even though we would usually be going into refurbishment about a month after, because even before my time, I heard, where the guys went out and staked where or flagged where all the irrigation piping is. And so then the chili cook-off people thought that meant put stake here. So they broke a whole bunch of pipes that year. This is, 20 years ago or so. But no, it's to be expected. Sometimes there's, some minimal damage, but at Canal Creek North, it's a lot less than it was than at Canal Creek South, because I think because it's more developed. But no, there are some issues that happen at south and north, but nothing major.
Okay, all right. That's what I was hoping was the case.
Yeah, but we charge, if there is something, we charge them.
Okay, fair enough. Yes, go ahead.
Just as a follow-up on that, most of the heavier trucks and so on are, if I recall from
Mhm.
past years, are parked in the driveway rather
Yeah,
than
we-
in the grass. So
The first year, I don't know if Mercer, were you at the first year? No, you said
No,
second year.
I started the second year.
So the first year, we did a lot of meetings at like what would be the best for the park and how, and we actually brought out a lot of the rec folks too, because they knew better how to put on big events at North than we did, because ours was most of the fields at South. So we coordinated with Rotary about where's the best place to put the trucks, how to bring them in, where to put the cars, where to do this, where to do that. And they've tweaked it over the years, but Rotary's done a fantastic job of avoiding damages to the park.
thank you.
Very good. Anything else? If not, we have a recommendation here. If anyone cares to make a motion, to reflect that recommendation. Yes, Director Huffer.
I'd like to move approval of staff recommendation 1 to determine that the chili cook-off is categorically exempt from CEQA, and 2 to authorize the general manager to execute the chili cook-off agreement for 2022.
Thank you.
I'll second that. Oh,
You're,
okay,
you're one hand too late. We got the second from Susan Holt over here.
that's fine.
All right. Okay, so I have a first and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that moves forward, passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you for being with us this evening. Okay. She can look late. Yes. Okay. Right, next is item 6, our consent calendar. Any changes or comments on the minutes or warrants? And if not, a motion to approve. Director Holt,
I move approval of the consent calendar, both A and approval of minutes and B approval of warrants.
okay, thank you. Have a second for that?
I'll second that.
All right, Director Ling, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes. Yeah, okay, then deferred matters, I see none. So that brings us to items for discussion. And just before I hand it off to our general manager, as you recall, at our last meeting, I brought up some concerns about our association with the National Recreation and Park Association. And in talking this over with the general manager in between, he's prepared to provide a report for the board consideration of that at our next meeting. And at this meeting, he was going to take the time just to familiarize ourselves a little bit more about NRPA and the membership and the relationship there. So I said that would be a great idea, and he offered to do that. So I'll turn that over to him.
Thank you, Chair Nichols and members of the board. So I just passed out, it's just the, I guess, membership renewal letter that Aline receives, every year as our membership is, due and owing, and they want to remind us of our benefits. So if you look on the back side of that letter is kind of the list of benefits that the NRPA has. And I guess I'll defer to what the board wants, but I am prepared to sit next to John and go through the NRPA website to talk through what we find that we have access to on the website from NRPA. But I know I did send a link, so if you guys have done your looking around, I don't necessarily need to do that. But I just want to give you just a few facts and figures, and then just give you a sense of where staff's coming from in light of this item. And again, this is a discussion item, not an action item. So during the last board meeting, a board member did express a strong disagreement with the recently published equity language guide that NRPA put out and suggested we terminate our membership. So I'm presenting tonight as a discussion item only, not really an action item, but just a bit of additional information about the equity language guide, as well as some information about NRPA. And then at the conclusion of my remarks, I think if, as a board, you think it's appropriate to continue to have this on a future agenda item, so indicate. And if not, that's okay too. In terms of the question about whether to put this on a future agenda, on the question of really whether to withdraw from the NRPA. So just a few facts and figures for folks. CRPD has been a member of NRPA since the late 70s. NRPA itself is, I think, 60 years old. I'm looking for help there, about 60 years old. So I think we got involved maybe 10 or 15 years after it was formed. Our CRPD's membership cost is $1,625 a year. And just as a comparison, so 1,600, CARPD is 2,500, CSDA is 8,195, and CPRS is 555. So they all have different membership levels, and they're all pretty similar, except CSDA stands out as a little kind of much higher, but they do have a robust legislative arm for all special districts. So that's why CSDA is a bit higher. So the district, CRPD, as an entity member of NRPA, I think it's 25 printed versions of the Park and Rec magazine, which I'm pretty sure you guys have seen. This is comes once a month. Yeah, so we get 25 of those. 5 of them go to the board members, and then the other 20 are kind of distributed to different staff and different centers. So they do get distributed throughout the organization. We do have 47 staff who have so they're part of our organization, so they can have a membership, but they take the additional step to register and have their own login. So they're kind of recorded as an individual membership, but they are part of our overall membership. And the reason you would do that is you can track your CEUs, continuing education units. So when you go to take webinars or classes or conferences or go to the national conference, you can get these CEU credits, and you can build those credits into different certifications that they have. And I actually don't know what those are off the top of my head. We could go to look on the website, but they have about 6 different certifications that you can get through the NRPA. So every year for the past 7 years, except one, we've had at least one board member attend an NRPA conference. Staff, because of various rules, we actually have to keep the board member attendance at our fingertips, travel reimbursement and that kind of stuff. But and people are more interested in requesting information about your travel and expenses than general staff. So if the newspaper or somebody typically would ask, it's directed at the board. So Aline has a record because she does the booking. So we actually did have one year where we had 5 attend, board members. A lot of years it was just 1, and then everything in between. So there's not really maybe I'd say if an average would be 2 or 3 is average. But for staff, just talking to the administrators and who they send, it's maybe between 2 to 5 between our whole organization a year that will go to the annual conference. A lot of times it's individuals one and only. Like a lot of people have been once, hey, I made it to Mecca. I got to go to the big national conference somewhere. So the exceptions end up being like, if it's really close, Vegas or Phoenix or Anaheim. It's been in Anaheim,
San Diego.
Yes, yeah. So if you can get to there pretty easily, we do get a bit more that go. And when we did, I think it was 20, I don't remember the year, 2007, the year we went for the NRPA gold medal.
Was held at Anaheim.
The one in Anaheim, was that 7? I'm losing track of my years. The one when it was held in Anaheim, we had 15 staff attend that annual conference when we were a gold medal finalist. So we had a bunch of people attend the Anaheim one. I did hand out the letter that has a list of the general benefits. And so for me, the benefits to NRPA and CRPD staff are primarily the education and information resource. So like this Park and Rec magazine, I mean, I thumb through it. I generally, for some reason, read backwards to forwards. But I tend to read the law review article. I kind of pick and choose after that if something looks interesting. So that, you do tend to come across a good article once in a while and something you might be working on. They have an NRPA This Week email newsletter. And so that's just a weekly kind of newsletter format that you can sign up for and get. And then they have Nrpa Connect, which is kind of the open forum community messaging board. That's like a Q&A. So
We get that.
a lot of organizations have those, and this isn't unique to NRPA, but they do have them, and they are national questions. And sometimes you have no interest in how to do recreation in a swamp and you don't pay any attention because we don't have a swamp. But other times there's stuff that, what's the hottest trends in pickleball? And you can follow that thread and weigh in if you want or get involved. Or the most useful thing is when you're on one of those, someone goes, hey, who's had experience painting pickleball courts over tennis court lines? And then someone's like, hey, here's how we did it. We built a manual. And then somebody has uploaded it and you can just steal it. So there's good sharing of professional information on that if you're looking for it. And then I already mentioned the CEUs. So I'm going to stop there with the statement that, I know that we had some strong feelings about the wording on the equity,
The American.
I forgot what it was called.
Language guide.
Equity language guide. So we had some I thought I had it here, but I don't even seem to have it. The equity language guide, and I know, there it is. So this was dated October 15th, and I read the definition, and it was not a greatly worded definition. It did cause a little confusion. You kind of do scratch your head. And I believe other people must have weighed in and let them know, because by October 21st, they had republished this with a, new updated version, and the very definition that had, been the primary source of concern. I know there might be others, but that one had at least been already modified to sort of clarify what they meant by American and citizen, and kind of a place to use them. So I don't know that resolved anything in terms of the feelings about the equity language guide as a whole, or the membership in NRPA, but to characterize how I feel is that whether or not the equity language guide is poorly drafted or not a really good document, the NRPA membership has benefits way beyond that. And I kind of take what you can take out of an organization, use the good stuff that you can use, and if there's things in it that you don't find valuable, you can ignore them. So I think if I were to bring it back, just sharing what staff's recommendation would be to keep CRPD as a member of NRPA for the different benefits that I kind of cursorily went through, and we can go through like the kind of reports that they can generate and statistical stuff that they have access to and all that on the website. But I guess I'd leave it there and let you guys chat a little more. And respectfully, I hope I characterized all that okay. And if I didn't, my apologies.
No, I appreciate that. If I could just summarize, and then we'll pass it off. Because I had asked the general manager to kind of give a cursory review rather than just jumping right into discussing the item, and then give him time to prepare the agenda item if that was a pleasure of the board. So yeah, thank you for doing that. And just as a reminder, this is a discussion item, not action item, so we really can't debate or weigh opinions. That's not the purpose of this. It was just basically an informational item for the general manager to share information. And then based on that, there was a suggestion as to what to do for the next meeting, if we wanted to bring it to the board, and to, just again, it's not going to be a vote, it's just going to be our opinion here. So that was the whole purpose of it. So Director Holt.
Did you want opinions now?
Not on whether to,
Not to
whether it's
leave,
good, it's just
other comments.
whether it would be, whether you wanted to see this as an agenda item at our next meeting.
I think so, because I mean, I think it's kind of ridiculous what they're trying to do, and that's step one for them. And I will tell you this, because I mean, I've been around here a long time. Not as long as you, but almost. And the thing is, I was very disappointed in general going to their conferences, because I mean, in certain cities, maybe it wouldn't have happened, but in some areas in the country, they talk so much about big city problems, which we didn't have. And, you'd go to a seminar and it would be like, well, okay, in Chicago, maybe not in Thousand Oaks. And then with the most recent statement that they've made about changing the name or changing their affiliation to the United States or, Americans in general, I find it ridiculous. But Jim, could you repeat again how much a year that costs us?
$1,625.
So it's, and this would cover any of our employees who wanted to go to a conference, correct?
Well, the membership gives us access to all the information, and generally they have a lower rate to attend a conference if you're a member than if you're not a member. So it's more expensive to go to the conference if you're not a member, generally
I
speaking.
don't remember, but it's, I just found that extremely un-American. So, anyway, but we're not voting now anyway.
No,
but-
it's just, yeah, just,
But it really, I really got that impact of big cities and the problems they had. We didn't have those, we don't have those problems. And that repeated itself. I only went a couple times in the last 28 years, or
Mhm.
27 years. So I don't know. I don't know how worth it is. I'm sure 1625 isn't the biggest number, but still, it's a question of affiliating
Mhm.
or letting them know how we feel.
Director Huffer?
Yeah, just a comment first on your big city versus little city. And that's going to be the case with any organization. I
I'm
know I've
not
been,
talking-
I've been involved with AYSO and I used to go to their national conferences. And, luckily we have a region of, at the time I was doing it, 3,000 players. And you talk to another region that has 300 players. So, it's totally different, but more to the topic. I'll admit I didn't study all of the information in detail that you sent to us, but I, as far as I could tell, there was nothing in there where NRPA is requiring a member to certify that they're going to abide by this guide. As best I could tell, it was a guide, which anything else that's recommended, a member organization could choose to abide by the guide or not abide by the guide. I don't recall seeing anything in there where you're somehow gonna be certified. We have signed off on this guideline. And from what I'm reading, that's really what it is. The Director Holt made the comment that, perhaps it would be appropriate to, at least if we're going to include this as an agenda item, to comment or express our organization's pleasure or displeasure with this particular guide. But from what Jim has said, sort of throwing out the baby with the bathwater, getting rid of all the benefits of membership because we disagree with this document, might be too extreme. So I personally, if we want to have it on an agenda for action, I wouldn't object to that. I'm not sure that it's required, but we'd have to decide what action we would be taking, keeping or deleting membership, or somehow expressing our displeasure with the document.
Victor Lang?
Yes, I think it goes deeper than the guidelines and so forth. It tells me something about the organization that I don't like. And it's, do I want to be affiliated with an organization that overtly goes in a direction that I'm opposed? And I got my first copy of the article about, can't be an American, don't address anybody as an American, from somebody else in the community that was very upset with the National Rec and Park. And that's another thing. They go, it's NRPA, National Rec and Park. But every time you go there, they say, even the speakers and so forth, they talk about the National Parks and Recreation. Park is more prominent, and so I don't know how they got confused in their name. But anyway, I just think it tells other people that Caneo Rec and Park District is in line with this national organization that is not supporting America. And that bothers me very much. So I would like to see it agendized.
Very good. Director Cussworth.
Well, I didn't see that. I read the article and I read the entire guide. And the one section where it talked about American was actually written by the Sierra Club.
What? I didn't hear what you just said.
The one little section that talked about American was actually written by the Sierra Club. Everything in the guide, they just took from other organizations. It seemed to me that what the guide was, they have a lot of magazine articles in here, that they were probably just saying, if you're going to be writing articles, here's some guidelines, if you would like to use them. It seemed like it was more of a glossary to me. And the little excerpt that they put was actually taken from guidelines written by the Sierra Club, if I read that correctly. It wasn't anything that NRPA, I think they took guidelines they have like World Health Organization, Sierra Club, Smithsonian Institute. If you looked at all of the bottom things, they all were saying where they got, their information. And I'm going to assume that they even came up with something like this because they might have gotten letters or something saying, well, this isn't the way we say that anymore. I get this a lot in school districts. So they probably said, okay, well, we're just going to write a little guide so that if you're writing an article and it's going to come in here, here's some terminology. It's a guideline. It's not a rule book. And they even said in it, use it as you will. It's just something they came out with. I didn't really see an agenda to that if I was looking at that. And I read the entire thing. And I read the article. And I wasn't quite understanding how the article was completely relating to what was written there. So I didn't see it connected. It's kind of seemed like somebody wrote an article without reading the intent. Sometimes you have to have what is the intent of something. And I didn't really see the connect myself. Now, as far as I don't have any experience with this organization, I've never been to a conference with them. I was looking forward to going to a conference with them because actually I've only been to two that were both in California. I think one was special districts and the other one was rec and parks. I got a lot out of those conferences. I really enjoyed connecting with other people that were doing the same sort of things we were doing. I felt a camaraderie. I felt a camaraderie of being with the staff at these conferences, that we're not just at our tables, that we're having dinner, we're talking, we're interacting. And I felt the same way with education conferences. I've been to a lot of education conferences where I get a little camaraderie with the staff. So I was actually looking forward to going to some National Rec and Park ones because I've known other people that have gone. I think that, didn't you go to one with Jim and talked about playing some kind of a bowling game?
Yes.
I was very envious of the bowling game. But I was hoping someday I could go to the bowling game or something, that those kinds of things you sort of, I think really builds a community. I kind of do what Jim does. Here's one that I want to read. I was glad he brought the magazine because I forgot. Infusing art and play, something I'm highly interested in. So the majority of the articles, no. I mean, there's one on, kind of management stuff or things that aren't,
Yeah, we know,
increasing
because we get it
efficient
too.
communication with recreation management software. Rochelle might get a lot out of that one. I might not necessarily want something out of that one. They probably have a lot of things on accounting that, Melissa might enjoy. She might not want to read the one about art and play. So it's they have a lot of diversity in their magazine, which I kind of, sometimes I read it, sometimes I don't. But I think as an organization, we're getting a lot out of, I think as an organization, and they're saying that a lot of the people in our organization are using this. A lot of our staff are going to the conferences, they're getting information. When I looked at their mission statement and when I looked at our mission statement, they were very similar. You know, basically, they're saying we want to bring open space and parks to the public. We want this to be appreciated by the public. That's what we want to do. So I was sort of glad because, and I even have to say on a very local level with our VC, I'm going to say it wrong, VCSDA.
Yeah.
I said it right. Okay.
DCSDA.
I remember the first time I said it wrong. But when I've gone to those meetings, I have felt a real sense of camaraderie, even though many of the people are over cemeteries, water districts, things that we have nothing to do with. But just the fact that we were all special districts in California, and especially in Ventura County, I felt a real camaraderie there, that I was a part of something bigger than just what I was. And I feel that part of this organization is something that can give us that. We're part of something that's bigger than just what we're doing. We're part of the nation. From what Jim was saying about the organization, I mean, it's not really just about that they wrote a glossary. He was talking about that they use statistics. They have a lot of information. There's a lot of information on their website. It's things that are used by staff. I think we would be giving up quite a bit, actually, if we wanted to disaffiliate with them because of some terminology. It might be better that if we have a disagreement with some terminology in this one little guide that's 17 pages long or something. It's a short little guide that I'm sure was written for people writing magazine articles. That we write a letter to them and just say, hey, we've been a member for 45 years. Actually had a little bit of problem with this. Don't think it really fit in with our goals. And, you know, can you reevaluate that for your glossary? If there's other bigger issues that we have, then, you know, if we're only talking about a glossary and an article written about a glossary, you know, a very short article. To me, that's not reason for an organization that we've been affiliated with for 45 years positively. That we've had a positive relationship with this organization for 45 years. So for me, I don't need to have it brought back to another meeting. I feel that this is something we should continue with. But if we want to bring it to a vote, I mean, it's okay with me, but I'm not seeing the necessity of that at this point.
Thank you. I too would like to have it as an agenda item at our next meeting. I, along with George Ling, the way he expressed it is, to me, I believe it is telling a story of a bigger picture rather than just a guide. To me, I think it's an organization moving in a different direction that does not reflect our community or what we are charged here to do. I'm not in agreement with any organization that recommends that I do not use the term American. I mean, to me, that's un-American. They're anti-American, and I'm going to be opposed to that. So I see it as more of an ideological issue than just seeing it as a guide. To me, it's telling a story. If they published a guide that a number of people had to sign off and say, yes, that's okay to put NRPA on it, and spread that out to the entire country, then I have a problem with that. So yes, I would like to see that at our agenda next meeting.
I just have one question. Did you read the Sierra Club excerpt that was in this?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So I just want to, and I could be wrong. I think what the intent was is that since it was the Sierra Club, that if you are leading a hike, because that's what Sierra Clubs does, you wouldn't say something like this park is free for all Americans,
Why not?
because we have a lot of other people that live in the United States that can also come to the park. So we have a lot of expat Canadians here. We have a lot of people studying here. Some of my best students that I've ever had were from China, India, Korea, and their parents were here for various reasons. It seemed to me that that was the intent, but that might not have been. I guess that's not what you felt from it, but I felt it was just saying that here in the United States, we welcome anybody to come to our parks, whether they're a naturalized citizen. But did you not get that idea from that?
No.
Okay.
Okay, any further communication? Yes, Director Hupper.
traditionally, when we have an item on our agenda, staff is going to prepare a staff report and they're going to make a staff recommendation. I have no idea what's going to be contained in the report, nor what the recommendation, I can guess what the recommendation might be. But my concern is that if we're making this an all or none, either if staff comes to us with a recommendation and says, we recommend we keep membership in our NRPA, and a majority of the board votes against that recommendation, that's an all or none situation. What I would prefer to see is at least two alternatives. One, whether we retain our membership within our NRPA, or two, whether we officially express our displeasure with this particular document that was published and apparently approved by some levels at the NRP organization, so that we are not necessarily all or none, throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
Just for your information, Director Huffer, I basically put in writing what I expressed at our last meeting and provide that in a memorandum format to the general manager. So that will be included in the packet. As far as my personal recommendations for the board to consider.
Are you asking that I follow a similar procedure?
Oh, no, I'm just an informational item. You were saying that obviously the staff is going to have their position. You'll also have my recommendations in there, which I would voice then anyhow.
Okay, well, I'm certainly willing to provide staff with a formal written memo if you think that's important. Since this is an open meeting, if staff is understanding where I'm coming from, rather than having to write, I mean, it's no big deal, but rather than writing a formal memo, they understand what I'm suggesting.
Can I?
Mr. Friedel,
Which is, you're saying, I'm not going to play hide the ball. I personally think staff, the membership benefits outweigh the concerns we have with this equity diversity guide. So my recommendation would be we retain it, even though obviously I'm not likely to have the board follow that recommendation, which is fine. That's, you guys are the board. What you're saying, I think, Director Hupper, is that you want to see the recommendation with an already established alternative to, rather than cancel the membership, do something less than cancel the membership, like write a letter to the address.
Basically, if the staff recommendation was to retain membership, then a second or an alternative recommendation would be to retain membership, but have a formal letter written, signed by our chair, objecting or strongly objecting, or whatever language we wanted to use, to that specific document. So it's an alternative to, one, retain membership, two, retain membership, but issue this letter signed by our chair.
Well,
Director Holt?
I was just, I mean, there must be something that some of you read that I didn't read, but because you're referring to some, I don't have that. But my question too is, for our staff, how valuable is the magazine that we all get? I don't find, I mean, I go through it and I maybe pick out one, maybe two articles that would apply to our situation. I don't know what you know, what other benefits they really offer. I mean, I got the one, well, that I got tonight, but not, I didn't get that before. And yeah, I mean, I have that, but somebody was saying, you know, that there was something else, or some other source. So that's what I read this. I thought there might be some other source that we had gotten information.
On the memberships or on the definition?
The definition.
Well, if it boils down to the crux of that definition, I mean, I can read it for the good of the order to see if we all hear the same, if we all hear the same words, but we have a very different, 5 different interpretations of what it means, it probably isn't crafted well. So if I read it right now and we have a quick conversation about what we think we hear what it means, like what it means to us, and we find that we just don't agree what it says, then maybe we definitely need to let them know, hey, we don't even understand what this is, but it's,
If I could
okay.
push
It
the
could be
pause button
done
for a
that
second.
way.
I don't think that makes a difference to me because just the fact that they have it in there is offensive.
Okay.
So how it's worded is irrelevant.
Okay.
I've read it multiple times.
No, I didn't.
I have.
read the actual.
Is it-
I think what she was referring to was the reference you made to the Sierra Club that she hadn't read.
No, I haven't.
Yeah. I read that too.
I didn't.
But I don't think he was talking about that. He was
Well,
talking, he was talking about the definition in the equity guide.
Right.
if I
Both the-
could, Mr. Chair,
Yes,
any of this documentation, if this is an agendized item, all of this documentation would be provided as
Correct.
part of the agenda package.
correct. Yes,
So all of the documentation would be there
right.
before we take any action
Yeah.
on that.
Absolutely. It'd have to be.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think, that's where we have to go. The
Yeah.
next step.
I've had my hand up for a while rather than
Yes,
just talking.
yes. Director Ling.
Well, I did for a long time. You just started. And one of the questions that Director Holt said, what to the staff, what is the value of this magazine? And there's different value to different people and whatever their positions
Well, it'll
are.
be interesting.
And that's the bigger question to me, how much does staff really benefit from this membership? Does the California State Park Recreation Park Association and other organizations, can they supplement some of the things that the NRPA offers?
I'm going to jump in just because, NRPA is invaluable to my staff. It really is. The things that we learn from them, and then the national standards that we use, it's a very good organization to help us, whether it's on the maintenance side or on the parks or the construction side, of what we do it and how we do it. And yeah, I'm throwing in my personal opinion now, if I'm not supposed to or not, whatever, but it's like, hey, if I divorced Lori every time she pissed me off, I've been divorced 10,000 times already. But that my benefits with being married to her have far outweighed the little problems that we have. We try to work through it. So I'd rather try to work through something with NRPA if this is how we feel. I'm not saying I disagree or agree with the document. There's crappy things in there too. It's just a document. But I think we should, but it's not going to change how we operate. It's a guideline. But we get so many benefits from NRPA. And hey, and I know Laura was here too. I know I pissed her off 10,000 times. So I can make it just that like I'm pissing, she's pissing me off. But it's just
it's just the insights and the stuff we get from NRPA are invaluable to my staff.
Well, I don't want to handicap our staff.
Yeah, no, it would. And compared to CPRS, and NRPA is and I'm not exaggerating when I say NRPA is probably a times 10, more valuable than CPRS for us. And it's just because you see more of a national perspective on that than the local perspective.
Okay, that's important to me, but the big picture association and what it stands for,
Agreed. Yeah, agreed. But yeah,
so
that's
again, I'd like
something
to
I'd
see
rather
it
work
agendized.
through.
Director Cusworth? Did you have something to add, your question or comment?
I think
Oh,
maybe
Okay.
we should move on.
well, as long as we have everyone wanted to say something, that's it. Okay, General Manager, do you have the input that you're looking for?
From what I'm taking away is you guys want this on the agenda,
Yes.
and I'll put together a staff report and we'll try to do a better, I will do hopefully a better job trying to, explain. Well, I'll just give you guys the facts, the different definitions, the glossary. You want your medal included, and then so that's clearly where you were coming from when you brought this item to our attention, and I'll put together a staff recommendation, and we've already started the discussion. So
Okay, very good. Thank you. All right, that takes us to item 10, reports and announcements. We've got recreation highlights, park dedication fee, budget performance report, all included in your packet. Was there any questions? Yes, Director Lang.
Yeah, just a quick comment, Rochelle, recreation highlights that Los Feliz activity that we have going. I think that is, it indicates this was just the first activity, but the fact that, it happened, I can see, the benefits of it. So keep that program going.
Will do.
Anything else? If not, I'm sorry, yes, go ahead.
So we have, of course, this, thank you. And last meeting, I was looking to you to just mention, and you could just be it briefly, but I think mentioning the name of the group that we had for Caneo Coalition for Youth and Families. And as most of you know, that Rochelle really does the work for this. I mean, we have the 3 representatives, and I'm actually the chair, but she really steps up to it and manages to get speakers for us and gets all the information and really puts on our Zoom program. So I didn't know if there was anything you wanted to say.
I do have that in my notes for my rec report outs, because I know we do this a little bit different now, but yeah, do you want me to do that now then?
Well, you go down further. you mean.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. not
Because we
highlights.
changed it up and we put the highlights in
all
the
right, yeah.
packet now, but I have that right here in my. notes to
Okay, thank
cover
you.
for you. Sure.
Yes, Director Huffer.
Just a quick comment on 10B, certainly nicer to see single family dwellings rather than ADUs. So
Yes, woo-hoo. Anything else? Okay, if not, we'll move on to department reports, section item 11A, Parks Division report. Mr. Hare.
Yeah, thanks to Chair Nichols, members of the board. You have the large packet. Don't be scared with it. It's the photo contest or annual photo contest. So if you could get that back to me by next board meeting, you could just email me the score sheet or however you want to do it. I have made my predictions on how you're going to vote, so I will see.
So we can just forget this.
You just could forget that. I'm usually pretty good, but yeah, we got some wild cards in here as far as the how the boards vote. But it'll be interesting to see. So yeah, some really great pictures, a lot of participation, and so if you get that back to me by the next board meeting, I would appreciate it.
Very
I'm
good.
available for questions.
Yes, Director Lang.
Yeah, we send it to you. That's what you said, or to
Or
Jody?
Jody or me. As I said, if either you can send it to me or to Jody.
I'll send it to whoever you
My husband
Request.
helped
Yeah,
me.
Usually it's Jody.
Jody's good. I'm saying, yeah, like the next board meeting, you can just hand it to me if you haven't handed it
Gotcha.
ahead of time.
Thank you. Looking forward to that. It's always fun. Okay, Recreation Division report, Ms. Callis.
Perfect. Thank you, Chair Nichols. Members of the board, I do have a few things for you guys tonight. As Susan was alluding to earlier, she asked me to kind of give you a little update. We had a really interesting guest speaker at our Caneo Coalition for Youth and Families. We meet about every quarter. During COVID, it was every month, and then now we're going to every other month. But we had a presentation from Kathy. Sorry, I'm going to take this off. My glasses are fogging up. Kathy Nguyen, she's the coordinator of the homeless education program for the county. And you can actually see her presentation. We record it and we put it on our website. So all of our presentations that this group has, we put it on our website. So if you go to Caneo, CRPD.org, and you go to the organization Caneo Coalition for Youth and Families, you can go down to the bottom under special presentations and see them. This one, it was just interesting. There's currently over 6,000 identified homeless youth in our schools in the county and over 200 in the Caneo Valley. Children are considered homeless if they're identified, if they lack a fixed, regular, and adequate nighttime residence. So such as shared housing due to economic hardship, motels or hotels. Public or private places are not designed for sleeping, trailer parks and campgrounds, cars, parks, and abandoned buildings, and emergency and transitional shelters. So it was just it was a very interesting conversation. If it's something that you're interested in, again, it's on the website. It should be up now. Sometimes it takes a couple days, but it was very interesting. And then, John, you have a picture of someone I wanted to brag about a little bit. Also, Starlight Ball is Friday, December 17th at the Hillcrest. It's going to be here from 5 to 10, and you should have an invitation at your desk. So please RSVP on that. He's pulling that up, so I will wait a couple seconds. Reign of Terror, awesome news. They finished out their season. They had some slow nights. They had some really good nights. But Bruce and Mary were able to drop off donation checks for $50,000 to us.
Wow.
So half of that will go towards our theater activities, such as the Theater for Everyone and the summer musical. And the other half of it will go to our Teen Advisory Council. This young man just graduated from CLU. And so Conejo Community Center wanted to take a moment and make sure that we bragged about him. He's worked really, really hard for his degree, and they're super proud of him. We're super proud of him. He's super excited. I think he walks in December. So, and that's Brian from Conejo Community. He's been with us a while. I know you don't ever see him without his hat on. So it's really kind of funny. So, thank you, John. Let's see, Starlight Ball, and then just wanted to give you an update. Several months ago, Nellie brought to the board and challenged recreation to start thinking about partnering with schools and schools specifically that are right next to parks, and doing some kind of a field trip with the third grade classes at these parks that they could just walk to. And so we had a meeting with staff, then we invited Nellie, we had a meeting with Nellie and talked about what it might look like. And I just wanted to let you all know that we have Glenwood and Banyan schools. One's confirmed for February 24th field trip. Glenwood is tentatively scheduled for February 28th, and Wildwood is interested, and we're just waiting on a tentative date. So in the new year, we should be having 3 opportunities to mix with third graders to talk about our parks, nature, outdoor space, science, and we're tying it into the third grade science curriculum. So, and our Conejo Community Center and Outdoor Unit is taking the lead on that. And I believe lastly, I wanted to share with you that the Ventura County Clerk, Recorder, Registrar of Voters has awarded the Global Adult Community Center with the Democracy Partner Award as an expression of appreciation for providing an in-person voting location in service to the citizens of Ventura County. And so that was shared with
Very
me.
nice.
So
Very nice.
as you guys know, the Global Center does an awesome job helping our community in any way that they can, whether it's blood drives, vaccinations. They're actually working on another vaccination clinic that will probably happen in the near future. They're just trying to figure out a date to make it work. So they do a great job at that. And with that, I'm available for any questions.
Very good. Any questions? Yes, Director Huffer.
Yeah, Rochelle, the Silver Starlight Ball,
Yes,
is it going to be in this room?
it's going to be here in the patio, I believe. Yes.
Okay, so it's
It's
going to be a
it's
mixture.
going to be more the patio, I think. I
Okay,
think it's
'cause I
mostly
know
out in the
Originally, they
patio.
were saying that it's going to have to be outdoors.
Yeah.
Right.
They're actually, it's patio, but the rain backup, I believe, is in here.
Okay.
Dress warm. Dress warm.
And.
But they'll
and-
have a band from 7 to 10 and there'll be the dancing and stuff. Yeah.
Which they love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're just really
But-
trying to make it happen for those that want to come out.
And we do have the elevator, but I guess, I mean, it's their deal, just a little
There's a
concerned about
ramp.
the accessibility here.
Yeah,
but-
there's the ramp right here too, that goes right down into this
Oh,
area.
okay.
There's a ramp right from the parking lot and it swings down. So we'll make sure that it's swept off very nicely.
Yeah, that's not
well-
an ADA ramp.
Okay, it's not an
Oh, it's
ADA
not?
ramp, but
It's too steep.
Oh, I thought it was.
we'll see.
It's a ramp, but it's not.
So Devin's working on all of that.
Full one.
Wow. Okay.
It's way too steep.
Oh,
Well, we also have
Okay,
the
good to know.
elevator and they'll just go through the building.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
that's actually, yeah, we should send them that way for sure.
Okay, we won't roll them down the hill.
No.
wow. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Next, Management Services, Ms. Smith.
Thank you, Chair Nichols. So I have just a few quick reports for you. I changed the format of the budget report just a little bit that's in there to try to balance the desire for an understandable short report, but also match the auditor's need to give you everything without giving you 100 pages every month. So the big difference is we're listing receivable revenue and use of fund balance, so you can track how much you're supposed to actually be getting in and how much of our savings we're using. And then also expenditures versus transfers out to other funds and things like that. So it's just 2 additional lines in each fund that was in that report. The other thing I had was this little financial snapshot that I think got handed out. It's a draft work in progress document. It's focused on our general fund to try to give, just like it says, a financial snapshot, a general idea of how the district is doing, the challenges that we do have and what our focuses are for the future. So I'm happy to answer any questions or if you have any suggestions. Again, it's a working document. And so anything you would like to add or comment on, I would greatly appreciate. And then the last meeting, I mentioned the new OSHA emergency temporary standards. The direction basically was going to have employers of over 100 employees set up a policy that would do 2 things. One would be to identify the vaccination status of all employees, and the second would be to require weekly testing for those that were unvaccinated. That is now on hold, and we are waiting for whatever might come next in the status of that. So that is on hold. And with that, I'm available for any questions.
Any questions? I have one question, has nothing to do with what you just said. Is what you were talking about with one of our, I can't remember which one of your staff you were recognizing when you talked about managing 2 different account systems with MRCA and district.
Mhm.
So I presume that's been going on for a while and it can't be fixed. There's no way you can convince a state to follow the park district race of doing
Yeah.
things. I mean, the park district is in charge of MRCA, right?
Right, so we have the same accounting system.
Contract.
The codes are very, very different. That's largely because MRCA, which I can go on for a long time about, so I'll keep it brief. But MRCA has, I think, over 400 different active funding sources. So, and they're all for very specific purposes, whereas CRPD has very fungible, large funding sources. So where CRPD needs 5 codes, MRCA needs 245.
Wow.
So it's just a different animal.
Okay, all right. Well,
Very unique.
kudos to the staff for keeping up with that then. Okay, general manager's report.
Yes, thanks,
Friedel.
Chair Nichols, members of the board. I just, before this meeting, sent out an email about Westlake doing the caroling again. And I had one board member say they're in, one for sure say they're out. If anyone else wants in. Unfortunately, I'm out of town that weekend at a Capri meeting, and I think Rochelle's, who's traditionally gone, not available. So it might be if we represent CRPD when we have one board member, we might not look. Okay.
Well, I didn't have a chance to respond, but you can include me if
Yeah, I
I'm
didn't. I just saw
physically
it
able.
today.
So if I say yes, we got to get people to show, and I won't be one of those people. So 3 maybe. Okay.
Yes, the star is solo.
Okay. Totally. Bring everybody, bring your family, yeah, the bigger the more people, the more fun. Yeah,
Oh,
the more
he's
people, the
in.
more fun. Bring your
He's in.
grandkids.
Well,
Guaranteed.
We're gonna choose one that we would lead, right? And then just be there to sing with the other.
Yeah, what we do is, we lead one specific song, but then we're there for the other
For the
songs
other
if you want to be.
Yeah.
So anyway, I will tell them that we're in. Well, you guys get back to me. Look at your calendars. Okay, so we got 2. For
What did
sure.
Susan say?
Yeah,
Okay, I'm gonna say yes. You guys are proudly
I'll go
representing,
anywhere
bring all the
else, yeah.
friends and family you can muster so that we have a good representation. Excellent. Okay. I don't know that it's been said, and maybe a board member would have said it because you were there, but over the weekend, CRPD just crushed the regular season of cornhole, only to lose a squeaker in the final game. But it was a ton of fun. Tom set that up, and it was a really good interacting with our friends at the school district. That was a lot of fun. So thank you, Tom, and everybody from CRPD who participated, and our friends at the school districts. That was cool, and that was fun. And then finally, from the public speaker we had tonight, Mr. Morissette, I will get the ad hoc committee together. So the prescient and well thought out, having the ad hoc art committee ready to meet. So I'll get you guys together and we'll chit chat about it. Yes, sir.
I've not seen the art names or whatever he's talking about.
What he's done, well, I guess. Normally they're all on page 1.
Right, but I've not been to
They're
people.
just the names and the letters and they're, yeah, they're quite tall. Maybe not tall as, the letters are about this big.
There's one for each name.
And they're sort of multicolored.
Hmm.
And they're quite large.
Okay, I just had not seen them, so I
Mhm.
wasn't specifically connecting with what he was saying.
Elaine,
That
for
art
that
work?
singing, don't we just sing, we pick one?
In the eye of the
song?
beholder, George.
So
I can't see that.
Yeah.
move.
they assign it or you get to choose it? I got the whole list.
You can,
Okay,
we can try to pick which one.
Yeah, I think we should. One that-
okay. Directors' reports and follow-up reports. Let's start to my left. Director Huffer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Actually fairly busy couple of weeks. We had a COSCA board meeting at which the Park District was very well represented.
Yes.
Although I wasn't formally there, I wasn't sure whether I was going to be able to make it, but I did attend the Veterans Day ceremony, which was really nice. They did a great job with that. So thank you for doing that. Jim already mentioned the cornhole tournament. We did absolutely wipe the school district out, but I do have some objections to how the final scoring was determined and who represented the park district unsuccessfully, but
I will help him.
okay. Thank you. Thank you. But that was fun. And I mentioned this, talked to Jim about this briefly, but it'd be fun if we could do something similar with the city to get some of their council members and employees involved. Because the school district really did sound like they had fun with it. The comments that, I can't remember who it was, made the comment at the end and said it was so nice for the school district to have something fun and relaxing and nice to deal with everything that they've had to deal with in recent weeks and months. So that was fun. Met with Jim for his review. We had a stimulating and exciting finance and audit committee meeting. We were all, Susan and I were waiting with bated breath for each new number that came out. And most importantly, I got to tour several of our local neighborhood parks with my grandson, who was here for
Ooh,
just a
all right.
weekend 2 weeks ago.
All right.
So that's my report.
Awesome. Like, parks are for grandparents, I guarantee that. Director Holt.
Chuck just talked about the meeting we had. It's about finance. And I think we're going to come to a conclusion at some point in terms of we had a guest who came to, and I thought he had actually, I thought we had hired him. Because after we talked about a lot of things and then he started selling himself. So Chuck and I have to talk about it again and agree, that we should hire this guy. And he was very impressive. But anyway, Veterans Day, thank you to a few of you who came to the ceremony. And I think you were not only acknowledged, but I didn't see you in the back until after I talked. But the fact that the Veterans Group always gives Rec and Park a lot of recognition for the event because they work closely with the people here and then also at the park. So that, we're very appreciative of Rec and Park and how they look out with that ceremony. Also, prior to it, Ed and I did go over to the breakfast at the Global Center, which was great too. I think that's it for the last 2 weeks.
All right, thank you.
Yes, George.
Yes, I was pleased, and you were the quote unquote spokesperson to have this Kenny Rec and Park District Board members announced first.
Oh,
Usually
and
it's the
thanks first.
city, and we did get a lot more recognition this time. So thank you, Susan, for the role that you played.
Well, we can thank Ed. He drew up the program.
We'll make
But
sure
it's
that,
true. We
Yeah.
highlighted Rec and Park from the beginning.
yes,
And then introduced. First, George got to stand up twice
Yeah.
because we also called on the veterans to stand. But our people there by name.
Mhm. Very
well,
nice.
thank Ed too.
Okay.
Director Cusworth.
Well, I feel bad because I wanted to go to the veterans and I wanted to go to Cornhole, but we did have our daughter from Sacramento visiting us. So we had other things going on. So, but maybe next year. I'll try next year. But I did go on, have a very adventurous meeting with our general manager. saved me from death potentially. I don't know, but we had, we had a good visit. But other than that, I think that's all I participated in. Oh, and wait a minute. I wanted to say briefly, I am so excited about this field trip. Rochelle. I think I had said before, Rochelle and I, at one of the conferences, we went to the same meeting where they talked about doing field trips with school kids to parks. And so we sort of talked about it and said, hey, you know, we've got parks right next to the
Yeah.
schools. They can just walk over there. I mean, they might have to get a trip slip, but it's not going to cost them anything this year. We're going to fund it. But, you know, a lot of kids do not know the trees that are in the parks or the different things in the parks. And I gave them the next generation science standards, and her staff was all over it. And they read those and they have great ideas. And I know the teachers will most likely love it. And what I think is nice is it's getting the teachers there, and it's getting the kids there, and the kids can go back and take their parents there and show them all that they learned about the parks. It's a really wonderful community outreach. So thank you for, you know, taking the lead on that. It's because I haven't done anything. It's been Rochelle and their staff. So hopefully this will be successful. We'll see. You know, they're trying it out. So we'll see how it goes.
I think it's a great idea. Director Lang.
Yes, I'm just going to keep it brief and report on one event that I was involved with in live streaming of a court case and litigation that MRCA is involved with, and called Sycamore Park, Malibu, off of Winding Way and so forth. There's a access issue at primary issue with the litigation. And so now it's in the hands of the judge. Right? So we're not sure when the verdict will be submitted, but this is very interesting. Well, I've been to other MRCA and Conservancy Court things in the past, but it's good to hear the court system talk about the case. That concludes my report.
All right, thank you. It's a couple things to add. I know there were a few of us at the Canadian Valley Chamber Gala. There were a few of us were there. There was something else who attended. I was also able to attend the Rancho Potrero Community Equestrian Center outreach on Tuesday evening, and then also the Walnut Grove lighting ceremony on Thursday evening to see the lights there. So it was, again, kudos to Tom and Andrew for just telling it like it is. I know there's some polar opposites on the people who were there as to their feelings of whether lights should or shouldn't be installed there. And I think they did a great job on just presenting the facts and just trying to keep things balanced and try and keep people from getting too upset. So thanks for that. And please pass that along to Andrew too. And I know we got some follow-up emails from the general manager today. So thank you for that. Again, the Costco board, cornhole tournament, that's the Veterans Day, that was participating in all that. It was also nice to be out there with staff at the cornhole tournament, have them rotate through. You know, some of them I met before, some of them I hadn't. Always tried to go over there and introduce myself and learn where they were working, at least at that moment. I see one's been promoted since then, so that changes quickly. Yeah. Then I must say, one time when I was throwing beanbags at our general manager and the school superintendent, one of them kind of went astray, and I had to make sure he knew that was purely accidental, that I wasn't intending to have it go that direction. But it was a lot of fun just to be out there, just in a social gathering. Nothing much at stake other than bragging rights, and somehow that didn't quite go our way. But I told Tom, had a lot of fun. That was the whole purpose of it. You know, just to have some fun and good fellowship and give us something to talk about for another year. So thank you for pulling that together. And we'll look forward to the next minister a fun event, whatever that might be. Okay.
Chair,
Yes, Director.
real
Ryan.
real quick, and you reminded me, previous competition, one of the events was football in Los Ritos. Is that court used by the football organization?
USC, Canal Valley Unified Soccer Club uses it on Wednesday and Thursday nights. They've got it from 5 o'clock to like 8 o'clock. They've been, and we actually just met them out there for some modifications they want to look at. But anyway, they're talking about, they're actually going to start a futsal league in their own entity.
Organization?
Yeah, in their own entity, so that it's going to be even probably used more than it is now.
I'm just kind of curious of how much it's used. you
Yeah.
know.
It's used fairly well, and they really enjoy it. I said I had COVID, it did drop off, but when I say it was just last week, I was meeting out there with their field director, and he was
Great.
saying, he's saying we really love it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, item 12, requests for status reports and items for subsequent agendas. Anything from the board on that? Okay. Move forward, items from the public. Do we have anybody waiting in the Zoom wings that wishes to address the board? No, not at the moment. Okay. And then the general manager indicated we do have a closed session. So did you need to make a formal announcement for that?
Yes, let me please announce that we have two closed session items. One is conference with labor negotiators pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.6. District Representatives Friedel, Smith, Callis, and Attorney Kaylee Fick, Esquire from Lieber Cassidy Whitmore relative to labor negotiation with unrepresented part-time employees. And then a second closed session under the same Government Code Section 54957.6, instructions of general manager as agency designated rep relative to employee benefits. No announcement is expected.
Okay, thank you. And with that, we will adjourn the regular meeting and to our executive closed session. Thank you and good night.
Thanks, Johnny. Thank you.
Thank you.